I think it's absolutely true that there's certainly a deficit that we have in terms of some of the performance benchmarks for our desktop processors right now at Phenom versus the competitors. But when you look at the mainstream and value, that comprises of over 80% of the profit of client computing. So it's less than 20% that's really embodied in that high-end performance space. And when you look at that mainstream and value space, I would beg to differ with you in terms of the suitability of our processors. Our processors that we have in the market today actually exceed any of the requirements for that mainstream and value space. And I know you're familiar with how when we sit down and talk with the OEMs, they look at how to position each of their different SKUs with, and depending upon what the price point is for that SKU, commands a certain offering for processor, chipset, and the graphic solution. And so the bottom line is, if you look at the vast majority of the market, mainstream and value, we have a set of offerings for the processor, chipset, graphics that clearly exceeds the requirements for that market. And that's why we're starting to see the traction as we introduce, for example, our Phenom platform, our next generation notebook platform. We actually saw 2x the number of design wins that we had seen on any other platform. And it was because, again, we were able to deliver that superior combination, and there were no excuses in terms of performance in any dimension, not on the processor, not on the chipset, and certainly not on the graphics.
Really more thinking about the consumer perception. You go down to Best Buy, and he kind of just thinks, oh, it's a nice price on that laptop, and maybe the OEM is pushing it, and it's got a nice bundle of chips, and it's low price, but the guy says, oh, well, I don't really want the AMD chip, though. It's sort of like, just sort of worried more about the end user perception than the OEM design win.
I think there's no question that as we talk to our engineering team, that they have plans under development where we'll retake that performance crown. Don't want to minimize it in any way. But at the same time, I think we have to be realistic in terms of, number one, our current position on those benchmark scores. But more importantly, it really is a fact that the vast majority of the money that's being spent on client computers nowadays is in that mainstream and value space. In fact, one of the biggest phenomenons we've all been reading about and watching is the emergence of this ultra value space. So if anything, I think the market is shifting much more away from that performance crown. It's a nice halo effect to have. It's a nice proof point in terms of performance, and it certainly, we have plans to address that. But in terms of what is required for us to be successful in this business, it's clearly just to be successful in mainstream and the value space.